Hey everyone! Welcome back to Globewise Entertainment, your go-to channel for the wildest stories from Hollywood and beyond. Today, we're diving deep into some of the most controversial movies ever made, films so uncomfortable and shocking, they were pushed out of prime time and forced into midnight screenings. If you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, now's the perfect time. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss our latest eye-opening videos. Alright, buckle up, because these 11 films are not for the faint of heart. Let's get started. 1. A Clockwork Orange, 1971. In the early 1970s, director Stanley Kubrick unleashed A Clockwork Orange, a dystopian, violent masterpiece that stunned audiences with its brutal imagery and unsettling themes. Based on Anthony Burgess's novel, the film followed Alex, a charismatic yet sadistic delinquent whose love for classical music clashed with his thirst for chaos. The graphic scenes of violence and sexual assault ignited fierce backlash. Critics condemned its portrayal of youth violence, while authorities worried about its potential to inspire real-life crimes. So intense was the uproar that Kubrick himself withdrew the film from UK theaters, fearing copycat acts. In many places, A Clockwork Orange was relegated to the eerie, almost cult-like atmosphere of midnight screenings, a time slot reserved for films too disturbing for mainstream hours. There, in the shadowy hours, audiences experienced a hypnotic blend of art and shock, forcing viewers to confront uncomfortable questions about free will, state control, and the darkest corners of human nature. 2. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. In 1974, a low-budget horror film arrived that would forever change the genre, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Directed by Tobe Hooper, the movie tells the terrifying tale of a group of friends who stumble upon a remote farmhouse inhabited by a deranged family and their infamous chainsaw-wielding killer, Leatherface. From the moment it premiered, audiences were gripped by its raw, relentless intensity. The film's gritty, documentary-style cinematography and shocking violence created a sense of dread that was unlike anything seen before. Many viewers were so disturbed by the unflinching horror and grisly scenes that theaters were reluctant to show it during regular hours. Instead, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre was pushed to late-night, midnight screenings, a slot often reserved for films too shocking or unsettling for mainstream audiences. It became an underground sensation, attracting thrill-seekers eager for a truly terrifying experience. Despite, or perhaps because of, its controversy, the movie cemented its place as a cult classic, influencing countless horror films to come and proving that cinema could push boundaries and confront audiences with raw, uncomfortable truths about fear and survival. 3. Cannibal Holocaust, 1980. In 1980, Ruggero Deodato's Cannibal Holocaust shocked the world with its brutal, unflinching portrayal of a lost documentary crew's encounter with a remote tribe deep in the Amazon jungle. The film's hyper-realistic violence, graphic depictions of animal cruelty, and raw portrayal of human savagery blurred the line between fiction and reality so effectively that it was banned in multiple countries and even led to legal investigations, with authorities believing the deaths on screen were real. The controversy ignited outrage and horror among audiences and critics alike, forcing the film to be relegated to secretive midnight screenings where only the bravest dared to watch. Its intense discomfort and moral ambiguity still spark fierce debates today about ethics in filmmaking and the limits of on-screen violence. 4. The Exorcist, 1973. When The Exorcist first hit theaters in 1973, it wasn't just a horror movie, it was a cultural shockwave. Audiences were stunned by its graphic depiction of demonic possession, unsettling special effects, and unrelenting tension. Scenes of a young girl's terrifying transformation, along with taboo themes and intense imagery, sparked outrage among many viewers and religious groups. In some places, Theaters struggled with fainting, panic attacks, and even protests outside the cinema. The discomfort was so intense that some theaters pulled it from prime-time slots, pushing The Exorcist into the shadowy hours of midnight screenings. These late-night showings became a cult phenomenon, attracting thrill-seekers and horror fans ready to face the movie's disturbing power head-on. Despite, or because of, the controversy, The Exorcist became a legendary film that reshaped horror cinema, proving that sometimes the most uncomfortable movies leave the deepest impact. 5. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, 1986. This grim, unflinching film dives deep into the mind of Henry, a cold, detached serial killer whose brutal crimes are shown with shocking realism. Unlike typical slasher movies, Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer refuses to glamorize violence or offer easy explanations for his monstrous behavior. Its raw, documentary-style approach unsettled audiences and critics alike, making many uncomfortable with its graphic depictions of murder and the lack of moral commentary. Due to its disturbing content and the way it challenged viewers to confront the banality of evil, the film was often relegated to late-night, cult midnight screenings. It became a chilling experience reserved for the most daring cinephiles willing to face the darkest corners of human nature. 6. Naked Lunch, 1991. When David Cronenberg adapted William S. Burroughs' notoriously complex and hallucinatory novel Naked Lunch, no one expected an easy watch. The film dives deep into a surreal, nightmarish world of addiction, paranoia, and grotesque hallucinations. Its blend of explicit sexual content, disturbing imagery, and mind-bending narrative left many audiences unsettled and critics divided. The film's unapologetic exploration of drug addiction and its bizarre, often grotesque visuals made mainstream theaters wary. Regular screenings struggled with low attendance and discomforted viewers, leading distributors to push Naked Lunch into the late-night, cult-friendly time slots. Midnight screenings became a ritual for the brave, cinephiles eager to confront the film's challenging themes and unsettling atmosphere in a space that welcomed the bizarre. Today, Naked Lunch is recognized as a daring, if polarizing, piece of cinema that defied conventional storytelling and cinema comfort zones, a film that you don't just watch, but experience, usually when the world outside has gone to sleep. 7. Salo, or The 120 Days of Sodom, 1975. Directed by Pier Paolo Pasolini, Salo is infamous for its brutal and disturbing portrayal of extreme violence, sexual abuse, and degradation. Set during the final days of Mussolini's fascist regime in Italy, the film adapts the Marquis de Sada's novel to depict a chilling allegory of authoritarian cruelty and moral decay. Due to its graphic content, many countries banned the film outright or relegated it to midnight screenings, where only the most daring cinephiles dared to watch. Its unflinching examination of power, corruption, and sadism makes it one of the most uncomfortable movies ever made, challenging viewers' limits of endurance and moral confrontation. 8. Sesperia, 1977. When Sesperia first hit theaters in 1977, director Dario Argento's masterpiece of horror wasn't just terrifying, it was disturbingly vivid. The film's lush, nightmarish visuals combined with brutal scenes of violence and eerie witchcraft created an atmosphere so unsettling that many audiences were left shaken to their core. Critics were divided. Some praised its artistic flair, while others condemned it as gratuitous and grotesque. Because of its intense imagery and chilling soundtrack, theaters hesitated to show Sesperia during regular hours, fearing it would alienate mainstream viewers. Instead, it quickly gained a cult following through midnight screenings, where dedicated horror fans embraced its eerie, otherworldly terror under the cover of darkness. The movie's legacy as a controversial and groundbreaking horror classic was sealed in those late-night shadows. 9. Antichrist, 2009. Lars von Trier's Antichrist is a psychological horror film that plunged audiences into one of the darkest, most disturbing cinematic experiences in recent history. Upon its release, it quickly became infamous for its graphic violence, explicit sexual content, and raw emotional intensity. The story follows a grieving couple, played by Willem Dafoe and Charlotte Gainsbourg, retreating to a remote cabin in the woods to cope with the death of their child. What unfolds is a harrowing descent into madness, grief, and primal fear, with surreal and grotesque imagery challenging viewers at every turn. Critics were divided. Some hailed it as a bold exploration of human suffering and nature's cruelty, while others condemned it as gratuitous and deeply unsettling. Many audience members reported feeling physically ill or traumatized after screenings. Due to its extreme content, major theaters refused to show Antichrist during regular hours, relegating it to midnight screenings where only the most daring cinephiles would dare to watch. These late-night showings became cult events, attracting those curious about Von Trier's artistic vision and fearless confrontation with taboo subjects. Antichrist wasn't just a movie. It was an emotional and psychological ordeal that forced viewers to confront discomfort and darkness rarely seen on screen. Its legacy remains a testament to the power of film to provoke, disturb, and challenge societal norms, sometimes to the point where only the shadows of midnight can contain its impact. 10 Funny Games, 1997. Imagine sitting down for a quiet, suspenseful thriller, only to realize you're trapped in a nightmare with no escape. That's exactly what Funny Games delivers. Directed by Michael Haneke, this Austrian psychological horror film is notorious for breaking every rule of audience comfort. It tells the story of a family held hostage by two polite yet sadistic young men who proceed to torture them both physically and psychologically with chilling calmness. What makes Funny Games especially disturbing isn't just the violence, but the way the film refuses to allow viewers any relief or catharsis. Haneke deliberately breaks the fourth wall, forcing the audience to confront their own voyeuristic fascination with on-screen brutality. At one point, a character even rewinds a violent scene, like rewinding a VHS tape, asking the viewer to watch it again, making the experience even more unnerving. Because of its graphic content and the uncomfortable moral questions it raises about violence in media, Funny Games was often deemed too intense for mainstream theaters. Many cinemas relegated it to late-night or midnight screenings, where only the bravest, most hardened filmgoers dared to watch. The film's cold, clinical approach to horror left audiences shaken, sparking debate about the purpose of violence in art and forcing viewers to question their own complicity. In short, Funny Games isn't a movie you watch for fun. It's a chilling experiment in discomfort, one that continues to provoke and disturb even decades after its release. 11. Irreversible, 2002. Gaspar Noé's Irreversible isn't just a movie. It's an experience so raw and disturbing that it shattered conventional cinema norms and left audiences shaken to their core. Released in 2002, this French psychological thriller dives into the darkest depths of human violence and revenge, told in a brutally nonlinear style that flips time on its head. The film follows two men seeking vengeance after the horrific assault of a woman, but it's not just the story that made Irreversible controversial, it's how it unfolds. The movie opens with an infamous and relentlessly graphic 10-minute assault scene that many viewers found unbearable. Shot in long, disorienting takes with dizzying camera movements and harsh lighting, this sequence has been described as one of the most harrowing depictions of violence ever put on screen. Because of its explicit content and intense emotional impact, Irreversible was quickly relegated to midnight screenings and underground film circles. Mainstream theaters hesitated to show it during normal hours, fearing that general audiences simply weren't ready to face its unflinching portrayal of trauma and chaos. Critics were divided. Some hailed it as a daring work of art confronting the darkest parts of humanity, while others condemned it as gratuitous and exploitative. Regardless, the film ignited fierce debates about the limits of cinematic violence and how trauma should be depicted in art. Today, Irreversible remains a notorious cult classic, a film that pushes viewers to their emotional limits, forces reflection on the irreversible consequences of violence, and challenges anyone who dares to watch it in the harshest way possible. Thanks for watching our countdown of the 11 controversial movies so uncomfortable they were forced to midnight screenings. These films aren't for the faint of heart. They push boundaries and challenge everything we think we know about cinema. If you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, now's the perfect time. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our deep dives into the world of movies, Hollywood stories, and everything entertainment. Drop a comment below and let us know which movie shocked you the most, or if there's another controversial film you think should have made the list. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the stories behind the screen. See you in the next video.